Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're focusing a little bit more in depth, and this is the second in the video series of the quiet borderline and their undergirding, their underlying, basically foundational temperament of fearing and feeling that they cannot trust others and that others have a specific cheating approach or cheating intention to their relationship. So this can oftentimes cause a lot of false accusations and the feeling of mistrust of others. And then this feeling of mistrust of others then causes outbursts, causes rifts and problems in their interpersonal relationships. When they perceive that others are out to hurt them, cheat on them, abuse them, lie, basically they tend to overperceive or project these falsely onto those individuals in their environment, in their workplace, in their family. And this can cause a lot of distress and stress. So the quiet borderline, though, just more tends to emanate this feeling of distrust, emanate this feeling of, you don't have my own best interest in mind. So they tend to sort of emanate this from their aura, or it's because of the lack of the positive communication that they tend to sort of carry around this negativity or this sort of isolation or alienation that they then create in their relationships. So they will inadvertently isolate and alienate those people in their environment through lack of communication, through lack of positive vibes, through lack of positive communication, through lack of validation, through lack of sharing, through lack of sharing the more pleasant, finer aspects of life, the more positive things, that they will really sort of truncate that. They'll really sort of cut it off. They will not allow that to exist in the relationship. So they can really tend to alienate others. They can really tend to, push others away who are actually very innocent, very benevolent, very benign, and actually very trustworthy, actually very generous and supportive, but they just will, by their temperament, push them away. They will not ingratiate them. They will not participate in really full fluidity in relationships because of their assigned projection of mistrust and abuse. And always, it's because they always feel like they don't have leverage. They feel like they don't have sort of that, a balance in relationships, that they will just tend to push others away. So again, it's the all or nothing. It's the black and white thinking and behavior, those cognitions, those thoughts that tend to kind of perpetrate or be the cause of a lot of these issues. And, whether what, is the cause of this is, in the air, there are some ideas, but a lot of it does have to do with actual, ingrained temperament. So, the physiology of that individual can perpetrate or trigger this. And, a lot of it has to do, with perhaps their childhood. They didn't receive the validation, nurturing that they required. They might have had traumatic childhood. So they then tend to put everybody else into the same category. This person abused me. Everyone abuses me. So it's like this blanket misassigning of values, personality, and intention to others that don't exist. So they tend to take the original cause of that abuse and then say it basically to everyone. Everyone is going to mistreat me this way. Everyone has my, my worst intention. Everybody is not going to be there to love me. So they tend to assign these qualities where they don't exist. So again, we see this overperception or this blanket accusation to other people who are close to them. And they don't really ever get to see people for who they are. They don't really get to hear people for their true voice. They don't get to really feel people for their true intention. They tend to push away, alienate, and project others, basically fitting them into the same blueprint, the same template, the same role as their original abuser, when that has nothing oftentimes to do with reality. It has nothing to do with your true feeling, your true thought, your true behavior. They just can't even see it. It doesn't register. It doesn't fit into you are you, and you are good, you are benevolent, you are kind. They're just kind of fitting you back into an old box of really that was set up by their original abuser. So everybody kind of gets fit into this box. And then there's a few other people who they can actually adequately control, who are then the good people who can control, or who they will basically pull strings with and control their emotions. And everything is kind of very superficial, light, or things of this nature. But those other people who they need basically to project onto will basically feel that alienation and isolation. So it can be very disruptive, very bizarre, very weird, and very disheartening, because really there's nothing you can do. Even if you value this other person, even if this other person is a family member, even if you've invested a lot of time, money, experiences with this individual, there's nothing you can do. This is a very permanent, indelible, resistant to change personality within a quiet borderline. And so you can wish it to be away, you can will it to, or try to will it to be different, but until that individual actually goes and tries to take ownership of how they have hurt, alienated, and abused others, until that person can own it and take responsibility and accountability, and then say, okay, this is really causing a lot of issues in my relationship, in my world, and in my life, and I'm ready to change. I'm ready to, calm it down. I'm ready to try to see how my outbursts are really destroying a lot of my relationships. Until they can really take ownership, then they're just going to perpetuate, and it's going to become more pronounced with time. It's going to become more rigid and inflexible with time. So those individuals who choose to stay with them basically are able to write it off and say, this person is always abusive. That's just who they are. I know it has nothing to do with me. And they just withstand the abuse. They withstand this maladaptive treatment. And for a lot of people, they find this very uncomfortable and not fulfilling, and very destructive, and makes them very unhappy. So if this is the situation, realize that oftentimes it's just a very pervasive, chronic, and indelible, resistant to change sort of personality characteristic that exists within these individuals, and it is what it is. You just have to let it go and let them go, and realize that if they ever do change, you don't know when that time is going to be, or when or if they're ever going to change, and take responsibility. That is left to the mystery, but it is really best just to acknowledge that and realize that you have done nothing wrong. It has nothing to do with you. Don't take it personally. This is just how that person is. You happen to be there, you happen to witness it, you happen to encounter it. And don't personalize the erroneous messages that you are not good enough, that you were abusive, you didn't, don't internalize that. Don't absorb that into your aura. Don't absorb that into your spirit. It's just more a confabulation of this person's personality disorder and misperception. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.